Hi, in this video, I shall share with you how to calculate the dividends in cash as well as the number of scrips you would receive if you were to convert your cash to dividend scrips. Remember that all this information should be in the scrip election form when the script is sent to you. However, for the purpose of those people who want to calculate yourself as well as for your own comfort as to how many shares that you will get if you were to convert to scrip. Therefore, let me share with you how to calculate them so that you can trace against the number of scrips entitled to you when you receive the scrip election form. Now, in this case, I'm going to use the bank election form as the example, but this can be applied to any kinds of shares so long as the company offers scrip dividend for that period. And the examples that I'm going to use are all the banks, the DBS, OCBC as well as UOB, because they have recently announced the scrip's dividends. You should by now receive the scrip dividend form, or at least in the midst of receiving the scrip dividend form, and it should go this way. Now, first of all, let me just quickly discuss how the form should look like, and then we do the calculations. Of course, this is the address, and then this is the CDP number, and of course, you under section A, you will be told how many shares you have, and then in section B, you will be informed the cash amount in dividends, and if you were to convert this dividend into shares, how many shares you will get. And all this is part of section B. Now, section C is where you will choose the dividends in full or in part. Now, remember, usually the default is in cash. So if you don't reply with this form, the company will automatically give you in cash. In section C, part B is the standing instruction for you to tell the company that you will always receive in full dividend in shares. For me, I think it is advisable not to fill in this because it's no point to decide for the future. In future, you can then decide there and then. Circumstances do change from time to time. So sometimes you may want to get in cash, sometimes you may want to get in shares. So it is better not to take this if it is all possible. And of course, you need to sign and you have to date it. Now, remember, this signature must always tally with the signature that you have submitted to the CDP. Basically, this is what you should get, and all the information should be in the scrip election form, which you should complete. And as say again, if you want it in cash, just simply ignore this letter and you will get the dividend in cash. Now we come to the calculation part of it. First of all, let us look at DBS shares. So let us first of all fill in the various banks first. Now, first of all, you'll be told what is the dividend rate. Now, in this case, for DBS, you get 18 cents per share, meaning that if you own one share, you'll get 18 cents as a dividend. Then, of course, the next thing that you need to do is to know the number of shares that you have. And of course, the next thing that you're going to do is to calculate the dividend in cash. If you do not want to have scrip dividend, then of course this will be what you get. We do not know the answer here until you put it in, but we know that the dividend in cash would be the number of shares that you have times the dividend rate. Now, the reason why I put it in Excel form is because then it makes the calculation very easy, so that next time you can use and reuse. It's not just applied to the banks, but you can also apply to any other companies that offer scrip dividends at that point in time. And of course, what you really need to do is to know what is the new share issue price. Now, this new share issue price usually is based on a stipulated range of dates, which the bank mentioned somewhere before, so that at a point in time when the date comes, they know what is the issue price that they will have to give for issuing the shares. So in this case, the issue price is $21.04. And of course, the next thing that you want to know is the number of shares that you will be entitled to. And as we know, the number of entitled shares will be the dividend in cash divided by the new share price. And this can be calculated mathematically based on this number divided by this. And we use the function of Excel to carry out the number of shares that we are entitled to. Now, however, I want you to take note of this point. In this announcement booklet, it is mentioned that so long as the fraction of the shares that cross 0.5 and above, it will be carried upwards to the nearest whole number. And if the number of shares is below 0.5, it will be rounded off as 0. So in this case, there is a truncation needed. So I have to input the truncation in order to calculate the total number of shares entitled. Now, all these are 0 is because we have not keyed in the number of shares, so which we can later on do so. Now, why I use Excel is because it helps to do our calculation very easy, and we can keep this calculation later on for other calculations as well. I'm very sure, especially for the banks at this stage, this will not be the last scrip dividend that they offer. Perhaps in the next quarters or next few quarters or so, they may continue to offer scrip dividends. Next, we come to the next bank, OCBC. And again, the dividend rate should be told to you already. And this is 15.9 cents. And of course, again, you need to know the number of shares that you have. In order to calculate the dividend in cash, again, it will be the dividend rate times the number of shares that you have. All I need to do is to copy over. And in fact, I can copy to the next bank as well. And again, the new share issue price will also be told to you. It is based on some stipulated date which has been pre-arranged before. So in this case, we get $7.81 per share. And of course, the total number of entitled share would be the dividend in cash divided by the new share price. Now again, there may be possibility that we get into fractional entitlement. And for OCBC case, they tell us that it will be rounded up to the nearest whole number. It also means that whatever fraction that you have, for example, you get 0.01 share, it will be rounded upwards here. So in this case, let us truncate that also. And again, of course, we need to fill in the number of shares that we have a bit later. Oh, before I forget, I need to let you know the dates, an important date here. All this form, if you want to receive your entitlement in shares, then please look for the date that you have to submit the election notice. Now in OCBC's case, you need to submit by 22nd of September. It means that a few days before 22nd of September, you have to send in your form if you want to receive your dividend in scrips. Otherwise, if it goes beyond that date, then you will not receive your dividend in scrip. You can only receive it in cash. Remember about this date. Now, the other two dates are not as important because it just tells you when the cash or the scrip will get into your CDP account or bank account. So now we come next to the UOB. Now UOB says that the dividend rate is 39 cents. And of course, you need to know the number of shares that you have. And again, down here, the new issue price or the issue price for the new shares is $19.52. And the fractional entitlement is the same as that of DBS. So we can just copy over from DBS. So now, by and large, you have all the calculation, and of course, you are ready to fill in the number here. Now, let's say you have, for DBS, let's say we have odd lots. Let's say we have 5,000 and maybe it says 310 shares. Then, of course, we can get the dividend in cash. If you just want to receive it in cash, then you get this amount. If you don't want, then this will be the number of shares that you have. Of course, if you have 1,000, then you just put in 1,000. and you should receive 9 shares. But however, if you have a very big number in multiples of 1000, you will not get the multiples of 9. For example, let's say we put in a very big number here. Let's say instead of just 1000 shares, have, let's say, 100,000 shares. And as you can see, you don't get 900 shares, you get only 856 because it is round off accordingly. And for that also means that if you have lesser number of shares, the rounding off tend to be more on your side, meaning that it favors the shareholders with less number of shares. But however, of course, if you have a very big quantity of share, probably that few shares or the 0.5 share wouldn't bother you too much. So in a similar case, for OCBC, let's say you have another whatever number, let's say you have 2000 shares. And of course, you can calculate the dividend in cash and the number of shares if you want to convert the cash to scrips. So accordingly, you can do that. And of course, UOB, let's say you have 5000 shares, and you can do that as well. You can apply not only for the banks, you can also use this same formula for the future. You can also use this kind of calculation for the other companies as well. So with that, thank you very much. I hope to see you next time. Thanks and bye-bye.